ko KFC na wo so no wakwakoje o check me patro we chips chicken and your drinks wo KFC bibia be kama e dia ma adia Philomilk na makamo asema to se Philotimo aye industry sale limited o mo na de Philomilk na ba open milk papa milk be boa milk eno ene ya gya tuma aye Philomilk me so ba bibia ubenya aye Philomilk ne bia to supermarket sawro nyina ko wa ubenya bi mo sawro nyina no ubenya Philomilk ne bi na bia so ye kama odie aye Philomilk aye Philotimo for adaroma eno mo di Philomilk ne enso ba e mo resegino jollof aye Miss no the only I won so share and all rice no Gino jollof miss menu aba me so eno ne yesi epe eti make sure send eno and all the jollof no ediama emi mama bia so etima ye kama into person jollof no ye da yusu Gino jollof miss no eno na ebebo ye di san come no Dr. Amuzu Amuzu P no enso de aba Amuzu garlic bitters no de aba Amuzu P no infections adra Ghana eno na ne etu infections no nyina se Amuzu P and no infections adro Amuzu garlic bitters for blood circulation ebeyi sane man nyina free ho amada bia wontini mu emosisi da bia bo se ayade blood ne be flow woni peduanom amada bia wonya hoden odie no ye wo gastomation menso plus ayade nature medicine father Roma and omode menso plus and gastomation omode abadwaso meso so onya bia ebebo pi menso plus menu aba sebu menses ba na oti pains awode no gastomation for stomach ulcer and so onya bia ebeyi ni na ama bia swetimi ayekama na cheso ho enswetimi ato ene ye jete no kwame anya transe team na transe be ko mo so ye ne ye didi nkomo kakra enche ye be se aba ne aba beto so mo pesa mo ko Dubai no eno so ye be ba bidi nkomo enche kra e dia mamo kwame bibi aboko de
yango padum ki
ye nkomo kakra
ma men sha asem free bibrem ha sei because enra history kese etimi esiye e Africa ha ohwe World Cup qualifiers na group D abewiye enra na group D ne bewiye no Cape Verde for a top pace our group no with 23 points, then Cameroon nya 19 points, Libya for nya 16 points and Angola nya 12 points. Ken at the time our group no anasa draw ne ba bonten no me you pretty sure say oka tre nipa dodo na say ye bobo group ni nyina ewie wo group D no why na obetimi atop group no edi first a me ye sure say nipa dodo na no ebetimi yi Cameroon national team no bayenra Cape Verde for ameki sa history no onim say omotwe Cameroon mu 4 points. We are talking about Cameroon national team eba World Cup omabo mo homodin pa by Cape Verde for etwemu 4 points ama Cape Verde for ameki history for themselves. Any country they say for the first time ometimi qualify e dey ko FIFA World Cup. Ken ade ba ko to dey be a World Cup ya na countries ne ni abri bebre timamufo ne ni abri bebre so mpese omo country ne ko World Cup no eya sa o country ko World Cup benefit eya country ni nya no esum bebre me kai pass Ghana your first time I qualify for World Cup that was in 2006 Ghana qualify and ken eba Ghana no be e kasafa Ghana ho obi wo hom pokra because of World Cup and o te e kuro bi te say Ghana enti Ghana qualify World Cup no ken yenye a lot of foreigners ema omu ba kuro ma say omba kuro ma say no ombenya ba bia da ombeto aduane ombefa car foreigners no eboa ma economy ni pijai after see you qualify for your first World Cup you qualify ye no ona momonten so a unhu MPP ni unhu NDC ni World Cup na Ghana you qualify no for the first time eden kabomu ede ball man nim ede anigye ede ball man mu enti country bi qualify for World Cup for the first time again eya na benefit as our country ni nya no eya na esu bebre and so we take Comoros a World Cup you ma qualify no say ofa ba bia ana obi a Cape Verde because Cape Verde a qualify for mo first World Cup so we take Cape Verde as a country a nipa do sign e wo ho based on numbers omo population 590,000 and e wo Cape Verde say even Kumasi for crowd also say Cape Verde kro ni nyina enti eye kro kitua bi and no qualify for mo first World Cup from enra no mo qualify be sine no internet ni so obi eseche Cape Verde in some for big media stations ni obi e ka Cape Verde no asem enti abema Cape Verde as a country abaye popular after so mo qualify for mo first World Cup enti obi o ho a onim Cape Verde until Cape Verde dinda but what is a Cape that qualify for omo first work for the first time no or betina si aba beseche omo ye hwan mu die mpokra no omo ye wo ho eno ko Cape sesi a ade ba ko ebu omo economy nipa no tourism enti obi ho a onim Cape because of World Cup because of football no waseti Cape wo hu se ho no tourism no wosoro enti obetime buki flight akọ Cape okokrom ho a odiska na ekọ ho enti World Cup ba akọ Cape for a qualify no obi e ka ho asem ekro na country na be popular ebe generate a lot of income at the ama country no enti World Cup the kid so we kro e qualify bia eya na feeling ni different and if it is a Cape for enya independence in 1975 abro mo ti omo ho efiri Portugal ho no metima catch say adekase ba ko esi kro mo pa no eye World Cup no mo qualify ade ana Cape for nim say eya adekase pa ye say 1975 from be gaining independence from Portugal we independence if you are World Cup you ma qualify the kid eya adekase edema Cape as a country because ade o man down some ho da ye da no because first no Cape no mo ye part of Portugal so from 1930 World Cup ebesi 1974 no mo ye part of FIFA and I say no mo nti omo no mo ye part of Portugal and etire no omo so buy ya from 1978 eba 1982 World Cup e Spain na omo nye affiliated to FIFA enti no mo ntimi en qualify but mo gaining independence no omo try so betima qualify for the World Cup and enra nyame nchade omo timi qualify obi bebusa say the secret of Cape Verde omo football net say ken na me ye reading bi na me hwe mo video bi na o reading na akwa ekira eye nyoma mienu ana amene Cape Verde timi qualify for the World Cup the first thing omo decide is on be na say ombe develop a local talents no omo ti krom ho no ombe sase develop omo no masa akọ amanone akoye recruitment omo nchi Cape Verde enti so what Cape Verde for players na bebre na no wabo Portugal under 17 under 19 under 20 enti omo bring local talents no na omo say recruitment outside omo nchi esusu free Cape Verde no ana omo beka omo ho ade abom enti so what Cape Verde omo share sa project we say in 2010 Kenonim said the last 4 AFCONs omo to me qualify no akobi no the last 2 and I said 2 emu mienu omo kodu quarter final even recent AFCON ebo Ivory Coast no South Africa na yi omo efri mu enti omo your mind back gradually omo develop omo football and many aje e ama a country to say Cape Verde say for the first time omo timi qualify na dia back akin US o Cape Verde de be kono beautiful ladies okop tournament a Cape Verde na beautiful ladies de omo tie de ba enti Cape Verde ye be hwe omo first time e World Cup nyame aduma 2026 e US Mexico and Canada big ups to Cape Verde omo football in the federation nyina and also yeah witness another history betimasi we bibre mu ase because o check Nigeria so tnefi against Benin South Africa so tnefi against Rwanda by March attention e be so kese pa no Nigeria and Benin game no kenonim say Nigeria omo neighboring countries no Benin ka ho bi on the east side na Benin wo Benin ni Nigeria de omo bohye omo ni omo ho ye and attention kakra edomumu enti apart from football na nkasa no that political tension kakra na ewo Benin Nigeria mu no ebesa ma game ni ma hiti payi by ken yemfa bibia nto nchen and then Nigeria obeti say Ademola Lookman enti mean say can because of a suspension accumulated yellow cards Ola Aina ewo injury we players impokron be out of this game impokre free wa Nigeria wo enough quality say on any day I was so mutimi jina Benin enim no mutimi she Benin. Se Nigeria ye ka player for player. Africa say omu krebi. From Victor Osimhen, Samuel Chukwueze, indeed Dialesi Iwobi Basimo. O they compare Benin players na emuche. At the same time, Nigeria force our good record against Benin. And it's a what check omo from 1977 ebesina. Nigeria any Benin abo 19 times. 19 times and Nigeria any Benin abono. Nigeria win 14. Benin a win 2 and a mumian sabo draw. And in terms of individual materials, Nigeria was Rosen Benin. Eba records Nigeria was Rosen Benin. Bible sound say, a dear intina Benin phone what did you say? And no bit Makwa question Nigeria. A dear intina so far qualifies in Benin any more points. A saying team a friend is Nigeria. The answer is simple. Nigeria will individual names, by a back collective play now, and a back teamer. Almost see a kind of commitment was Ropana a Benin national team. No, and the idea in Benin, Emma Mujidi so met my question Nigeria. No, that collective play no mobi, as saying team and friends in Nigeria, and that commitment level no more players ni see a kind on person muku hono by a bad records, a bad individual brilliance. Nigeria for the Ewosro, South Africa for the so be renew game. No more bomb pay say Nigeria beat match Benin for so die omuda go. The here so bet me win game we. Se Benin win say kukuro another history esi ewo Africa. Entiene ye ba ko witness sa game no. Ken, we a story be about Barcelona camp. On say recently Barcelona for results eba na enkoyi. Losing against PSG wo UEFA Champions League. Oko Ramon Sanchez pre 1. Ese kwako lusu against Sevilla. Enti sa wo check results ane enkoyi nansin. Ana news be free Barcelona camp abia player we player we ko national team duty we pra enti news free Barcelona camp oba no eya na enye news a de bebre Lewandowski dia ba amwa ba beka kiwoni mi say oyo stories ya na me monitor Barcelona. The reason why na wo ye Rafinha de no ye say Rafinha de no eye setback no asenya e woni injury no na Barcelona for hope say at least Enya she kran and combetima restia managina against Girona, against Olympiacos, but against Real Madrid, our classico no, and combetima 100% fit. No ababa besi akandi ama Barcelona. But the recovery session no and was akunya setback. Which is a bad news for Barcelona. Because every coach, every football club ya empire boni say injuries ewo football. Nemum say injuries never do so bebra e affect team ni play e affect team ni results e affect team ni system enti say we check the current Barcelona injury list no now we check players o mepra so far Barcelona for the first choice goalkeeper we pra Barcelona defensively enye the best by goalkeeper ne by one Garcia by no obe showcase me wiase nyina hu say we beat Barcelona defensive line impokra na o ye goalkeeper dem o ma Barcelona for no arehyiemu say obetima save or ye out. Barcelona mfimfin ho players ni bi eprepra. Na baby ama Barcelona foni esu kese kra na eyo manim ho. Let's not forget number 10s mienu no Dani Olmo ye out. Afina Femi Lopez free injury ever. Mu hope so betima gaining the fitness. Lamine Yamal afino free injury ba or ye forward line player. Rafinha setback aba. Ferran Torres ekopra ye yesu betima ye available. So betima piki edru ni pick no question. I was see busa ye ho Lewandowski akwa kupra ana Rafinha de so setback aba enti baby ama Barcelona ayi hu kese de ama no the forward line department enti se me Barcelona fana Rafinha setback no na me hwe the injury list na enim ho no it seems say otutu ani akwa ye Marcus Rashford, and the reason why Rashford numbers was through no say majority of players no se Barcelona players na 100% fitter, definitely on the right side Lamine Yamal, left side and Rafinha, but because of series of injuries and also I make room for Rashford say also betima perform by Rafinha plan the kin setback no because season is too young. Barcelona injury list na do so dodo and me feel it for Hansi Flick to be honest.
February here panobaba.
Back in one shot the susu asi susu e ha adwen.
Some season honest start na.
Na season
or no last season say at this stage no the best player we are saying.
Rafinha. Yeah.
And he overtrain that time Dembele in pride.
That
time Dembele say no count.
No count.
The Dembele train yeah.
But one thing is say oka se season no ye nyandure bi ehia pa na otina ho na ulusu na mado di twim. Na maybe say that time I be picking. Na maybe say man you compete no how.
Say the answer sana ma adwen me because Rafinha last season as at this stage no the best player. Jude Bellingham 2 seasons ago no be a man no. But Nkofobi the last 2 matches be heading everybody be winning into on train.
But are we
on train so football no waba.
Are we talking about individual and as a club?
Oh say
Barcelona for because say a team never kon anima. E was say onya all the big guys
how they run the system they so be qualified that time they run the system.
Also bring your players.
That time run the system.
The Kwame person o kire ne say from February to the end of the season opa hye ni nyina na se season yeah start no one start here for so obi enu ebeba so but what I say if you start losing your point today now quiet from February to the end of the season.
Or the Champions League. Someone is sassy.
Two best watchers say,
La Liga and find Jibalondo. And I had the League Jibalondo.
The next Champions League against Olympiacos. Now Barcelona quadruple points.
Oh, they be qualified.
Even without Rafinha, no, they can qualify.
Now Rafinha, no, Mamu says, I know Judy Super Soy. Omun na Dembele asat last there's no bobo na bono bobi.
Oh, now said that Dembele anka started ball from the 15th of December.
And you know best player we say. And Tibabi here no beba. Timon transfer.
No, but honestly, I think say you should be much concerned pa we Barcelona fan, we Hans Flicker.
Players no make Semenyo. Players no. Enye Barca players no nko. Players across. Especially top players. Injuries say ne baby and year kakra bi anko de bebo last season ahwe ni wa omo
World Cup
omo this who say you fully fit answer na wa ba bebo board ama wo enti ebesi bebre bebre obeti yes player we or kobe 1 week we kobe 2 weeks e wo mo obeba bebo but one panier so farmer omo
they be and panier some they say there because the ideal thing is that normal season players ne you be one panier or you okay one you season no pre-season ni mo no not the agina home they recover but this time around you season na World Cup and in yema shisha ho
hwe ene de ne yi ni sisi se inaka training sisi inaka wa training sisi se first person ka Ghana for e be kasa pa
and yemom se Lami ya mai die
ebi na Lami so ye no inaki e training sisi but when timi am boy too much no but say because no kakra bi ba so hwe ne ho yi because World Cup na dey be
football is prioritizing the World Cup.
Yes, into World Cup na.
But you see the kind of conversation on the same from the club's perspective, Hans Flick or Jamie team ne ho. And to be very honest, injuries now piling up for Barcelona na no was you. Robert Lewandowski, Dani Olmo, Rafinha, Gavi, Juan Garcia, Ferran Torres, Lamine Yamal, and Femi Lopez. That's like 8 players. And as they say, Lamine Abba. And as they say, Ferran Torres, Roberto, and Femi Lopez Abba. In some moment, yes, they say Lewandowski, Rafinha, Gavi, Juan Garcia. That's like 5 players. And in your mind, I'll be last season, but Girona game. It's clearly. It will affect the team. Na me kura na sam no kwame aka Rafinha sam. Robert Lewandowski situation ya. Lewandowski be 1 year nie. Senior injuries ne pile up no. Akoyam to say enu nti na Barcelona for dream mienu say bia boy no omuntwa so. Ken Lewandowski ne papa obo judo ne mame obo volley ne sister obo volley ne yere enso so ya athlete ne yere crowd na nsen or sans nutritionist into no ne body no with all due respect first thing they be a make Lewandowski as someone baby I will do with 37 years so I'm the Lewandowski picture to television also now share the body no first what the man said why very disciplined with his body. And yet 37-year-old the Biana or body beat to say Lewandowski Diano. It takes a lot of discipline to play at the highest level at age 37. And yeah, easy. I was so da. I was so rested. What Jim Kakra Ediani or Windy. Into any place being an it's me, yes, sir. It is all people at the highest level as age 37. Be muno much respect to him before you talk about other stuff. And nothing up to now. One player I will always respect Thiago Silva. They say 41 so gusobo. All free Chelsea names are about 38 years. Oba Chelsea foforo nipa dodoɔ na ababe 80% ka se ontimi mo Chelsea not just because our son no mo say nimpom no wago but discipline and they didn't do this level. Shall Ronaldo it takes a lot to get there. But once Lewandowski try pa me an interview na acquire the Polish national team was say Eyanan comfort the age na judge no feel say no ye only for interview no we acquire tester was pra. Clearly he also he's working very very hard to say still no be relevant Europe. Onye na dream so obekọ Saudi Arabia obeso to so ball no Europe. But truth be told, Oko Poland national team. First game, boy, a friendly game against New Zealand. Because they want to protect him. And Oko ball Lithuania game na or share goal. And ye game no so. O Philippines ne biceps ken. Ne sre ne chino left, ne sre ne chino. And ni move reno. And doctor say let's go and check because how there. Either say biceps nanka say na issue and now so say ebi ebeti my hamstring. I'm go check here. A serious injury. When inform Barcelona for no. Possibly ebi a bare 1 month to be. He's going out. I told Ferran Torres now so. Ferran Torres so pray. Now say umuana abakakra. Umuana so ode manage the ball no. It looks like Barcelona front train there. Obia say akwani mu bie pa dia ma no Marcus Rashford. And nothing me say he needs to take advantage of the situation because and we ya pra no akwasha ha. Ochina we ya pra no akwasha ha. It looks like he no. This time he's getting more games. He needs to amass the numbers because clearly if Rafinha, if Lewandowski, if Lamine Yamal fits are no contest. You see me feeling for Hans Flick. He needs to manage the situation. A prano doors dodo. Say what breaking news for Barcelona or Barcelona fan or yem show. Say any me go for back with pra. Ken Antoine Semenyo now saying positive news na eba and me tie story no. Na say Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal. And I serious about Antoine Semenyo. Manchester United, omo boni din ebeta Semenyo wa. Omo say for Manchester United, a coach in the penasam. Omo bo Liverpool, omo say Richard Hughes enim no. Of course, Richard Hughes no oye adwuma de mo bomb of on a sporting director edema Liverpool se ya. Inti open obi onim Antoine Semenyo a Richard Hughes. Now what you wa ba Arsenal? What can Arsenal? Arsenal almost sporting director Andrew Beta and a penasam. In taking 3 big clubs 2 sporting directors and a pair Antoine Semenyo back your coach, which is Manchester United. Now, in common on the clubs are looking at ways possibly on behalf Antoine Semenyo, and that is what clubs do. And almost say, boy, they extend a contract, let them bomb off no. Almost the release clause a shame. It's a possibility be why. You don't need to negotiate with bomb off. Just go and pay the money and you are good to go. No question me woman say. Who follow football? You nyaka release clause or no context. And my dear no cry for. Who Spainer? So Obekuta release clause now open one. Just go and pay the money and you are good to go. Back in. The reality pa me kamu no kradi achira mo say. England release clauses na what's at wadwimu. English clubs. So what is so the release clause as will be contract mo a. Enye Spain di ani bia wo call ya wo chase ka dia to na wo call. England clubs minim what is wrong with them. And it looks like MSA clubs no mun nyina yesa. First of all, release clause. Okwa Spainer, obienim, a non knowledge. Oka play away di born release clause. I shall obiaya way. England plays release clause. Omudi see. Omun can't show that to say a may Antoine Semenyo di naba. Bomb of forces someone can't the clubs no because clubs now your inquiry. On person who say release clause be or saying bomb of see omunka because they want to keep the boy. But truth be told. Contracts now between Antoine Semenyo and the Bournemouth. Into Bournemouth so on can Semenyo nim. Into the easiest way they say Semenyo person call Liverpool. Semenyo can easily tell Liverpool, say, me and me sign a contract, release clause, no, 70, 80, obetinya can figure ne de ache Liverpool. Then Liverpool will go to Bournemouth and pay the money. And says, but I mean, try window for us so show. Sadly, way Michael Olise to Chelsea, Crystal Palace release clause 35. And Central for no question 35. Crystal Palace and no cre. Then Yahu said Chelsea for Eddie Sikako for Michael Olise. Crystal Palace for Munji Sikano. Then Michael Olise becomes a player for Chelsea. And a Crystal Palace for threatening Chelsea say, "What happy boy? A dynamo who say release clause no, a 35 million."
Just say, the year to say a 75. I won't confirm. Say a new 100 million for Semenyo. Say a babon tennis a figure near corrector. It's just a team bia on a Semenyo edin komobiano. Bomb of obit me a cassette. What happened? What happened? What the boy not couldn't come because your money Semenyo pay any. And again, Semenyo so on family.
Let's say agency so sign.
Yes, family agent account. So I don't believe about it.
And no na means a clubs na say.
Omo leki so a club ni na beba betan Semenyo.
And no near some no.
Bomb of on betan no.
Because you clubs no. Ya unya the release clause now the second the same amount to kwa. Or say what type of player no because your club young can't show. How did you know? In the Chelsea's case, almost threatening Chelsea, some of the Chelsea be cast any FIFA and the Chelsea see ye trust and we ideal no. But more recent example. Okay, Morgan Gibbs White. Not some was a player no. Or Tottenham area no. The release clause no cost 60 million. And I'm not for one said Derby. We are then a moon says 60 million a shame. What happened? Enka a Spainer is obianka tapping as some woe. Inti Semenyo problem. Release clause ne de I de at the ho name club na a bed taking decision so or per Semenyo no. I was very clean because who leave it trace say ampa one boy na kasa we inform say release clause in the X amount with yati. Because truth be told, Ken Richard Hughes in the onim Semenyo in and out. Liverpool team no. Baby a Semenyo ko. Na benye ni mujidie na boy na bobo na aye Liverpool. Left what the kwan mu ada. Luis Diaz efri ho no. Sese akaka kodi gapo. Ene bia ngomoha. Ene bia Frederico Chiesa to some extent. Semenyo church ready obeba. Of course.
Baby a salad na kra salad ne ho betima sia gina.
Well, let's say Salah what the more plan if in the future they want to go and take Michael Olise. What you say? Into left what the Kenya bad. Back in kids baby. Share France for one. Almost so the si Kamavinga. And nature menu so titru Kamavinga no. Omuntiti break kakra. Boy no Ken, I am sure so onokra will admit to say send you see pen and remando no onya ne sa. And yan forms because even last year alone, we checked the number of injuries are boy in. In fact, I may say about 37 games, club and country via injury. Ken, and yan forms let me explain this. Ken, 2019, Madrid full framing round of 16th against Ajax. Don't make sure 4-1. 2020 against Manchester City. 2 seasons consecutive round of 16th. Madrid realized they needed to make changes in their midfield. Not because Casemiro, Cruz, Modric, no Masan, but bench, the influence from the bench. Never from. Na Isco, Bono, a city Asiba, Nakadani Sibayosimo. One of those reasons was to bring on board Tchouaméni to take over Casemiro in the future. Tchouaméni situation, on the 80 million, a cofano, bonuses can 100 million. All banner pressure from Monaco. Obaye, the ideal plan is a Casemiro bubble 1 year. Na Tchouaméni understudy no we take it over. Okay. Obaye na Tchouaméni. Sorry, Casemiro had to go to Manchester United. Into no one understudy and he throw no se onkobo. What I say? Into pressure ba no so until Jabi Alonso ebeya afi ni yehwe se befa. Kamavinga de no. He's supposed to understudy Luka Modric and Toni Kroos mo. Obo understudy ni mo no. And Carlo Ancelotti no come left back because of the issues they've had. Okay. Ideally, meaning pass in Kaisasel last season and will take it off. And injuries be affected.
Almost was on Yaji.
They became. Come, that guy is just 22 years. If I'm right, next November, or 23.
Almost improve back.
Oh, there be Munya Wuche, there be any day me no be Anyaji.
Okay.
Boy, only born, na say I pray, say injury and sansu maybe you.
Me don't see him.
Or beba boni with time.
Come on, Biggie found the other twice of me na Yemra. Yemre, and Yamaka Crash.
One thing I've realized about football is time, any patience with proper planning. Able to make any form of success and we share the abroad. You were a man, you couldn't be a friend, say Comoros. Say Comoros will be qualified by African Cup of Nations, can a problem. On men whom put on campus were Baba Bobby. But they decided some person football in se boni benyini a den no mo be ye kwan ben no mo be faso a boni benyini eno mo contact a former Comorian footballer our baba be coach Ame Abdul eno mo de Comoros team ni ma no se onjina on coach na omo no mo ntimi qualify ko African Cup of Nations in kaka of fair players of Comorian descent a mo wa ma no ne eno keka omo bom ken he was appointed in 2014. Of fat team no yen in kakan. In 2019, or qualified by the African Cup of Nations. First time, no mumbo bida. The first time now mumbo bida about tournament in the mumbo, the performance net is saying to them it was an okay performance. It was a good one because tournament mumbo bida. Now when you kwenya baba be remudie, adia or shampoo say bianca group stages be no free no corner baby, but at least obeshia giant to a group anymore. Ghana, for instance, with Timmy share Ghana. Ghana free money only qualify for the next round of the competition. Enti modern mon abrutu bebre e di amaomo. The echreme and say e bre no munyama papa no it doesn't mean say wanye mistakes. It doesn't mean say there weren't times and man konkan and farmer no. But yet they stood behind him. Emma qualification and almost no saka. Today, cry friend is Cape Verde, Cabo Verde. I qualify our so-called World Cup for the first time. The same time, patience and a proper planning at the Omoko. Omo appointed Omo coach as is your handle team the Bobista in 2020 January and Omo appointed no. Ken he's also a former player for Cape Verde national team and Omo Fred Papa and say Afcon the Omo Bobby. It was a plan, it was a target. Omo qualify Baba Bobby. Says Omo person Omo qualify Omo call World Cup. Wabo national team ni bida. Dey no betimi aye de aboa omo. Omo nyuma no be konkan no matimi qualify for World Cup no. And also okay. And ye kwan say ni e be fa. So for now, that kind of quality na e be boa ma yakọ animu no. E din si e benya bi wa. Eti we are going to look for players omo sa moja ni bi. No ma baba be si akan de amayen. Omo hwehwe ya to the extent say he got on the internet. Omo player baako, Pico Lopez. Or sending a message on LinkedIn. It was in Portuguese. Message in a call, you know. People read the message on Tiasia because on a brofo no kaken, ya won Ireland. Or see afraid you feel sad and crampo a scam. Into a hair on do closing no penny baby tonight. One hand who crampo and himbium. Letter officially, and almost sending a letter in English. And I feel what Tiasia no decided to be Baba Bisia kind of at their momo. Within that period, you know, they had that kind of time. Any patience behind the coach, Bobista. Sa omo nkaka no monko. Along the line, a prani adie bebemu injuries baye. There is one player, Stopira, can retire from the national team last year, June. And no join national team ni bo. Say when you 37 years, on to mean see a kind from national team ni biom. Into a kwako penny baby at na wajena home. This year, in September, there are a lot of players who are prepare. Here other players. They spoke to the players. Say, "Omra back, omra me boamo." Quickly, and G2 and science buy. The last game they played against Eswatini on the share last goal, which is the third goal, and the Cabo Verdean national team. It's with time, any patience, any proper planning. At the be person watch you as to be able to me achieve. And it is one thing. A lot of the elite teams, any countries, and this time they have to learn from that. And many baby no move future football no more no. One or two bad results about pet na ye pamu coach quickly. But football no, and this a magic. na coach ne ba na no a hit the ground running derby obehia time no de atoto ne niam ansa na wayɛ adwuma eti de these two countries aye other countries na kakra bi a yɛmpam coach no mu nso bibi mfamfrim sɛ wunya brɛ na wo plan yi a adeɛ bi a wo pɛsɛ wo nsaka wo football mu bia no on sabetimi aka. Congratulations to Cape Verde, they deserve it ken because they have worked for it. On my back on also World Cup no one qualify, but I feel send the modern mocking aso mani pa Niger no Morocco group anymore. Zambia coach any Avram Grant. It is a per country in that group. Ebi obe you so no be qualify for the World Cup. I am sure say edi obi abebo Morocco. But we Morocco wie na ye bisa say nkuro na aka no. Why na we feel say obetimi a qualifier? And I say be obenya the second spotter. I am sure say na nko obi abeka Zambia. Yeka Zambia every 2012 football African Cup of Nations. They have become a force at the point Tomo conform, yes. But it doesn't take away that kind of quality Omo possess. Any ball I no ball. Especially when they got Avram Grant. Any ball kakra the last African Cup of Nations on the boy, you know. A man for shall say so munya sa trust in the woman. But Niger team no ekova Zaki Bedu and the buy as the coach. So I'm not boa omo e will qualify it anymore. Papa na juma na aye. Onya 15 points in that group. On the second. And the kind of project Nigerians also starting again. A juma na Comoros mo ye. The Cape Verde mo ye. And the Cape Verde qualify Eco World Cup no. And no be na Nigeria so was here. Zaki Bedu so make sure say obest sported talent. Omo betimi abo omo ye eligible so omo si akan de manager. No ma baba be si akan de amomo. As we speak, omo national team nikita about 4 Ghanaian descent. Omo si akan de amomo. Omo last game omo ball qualifying round. Omo ko share Zambia 1-0. E was Zambia home. Player we share goal no Daniel Sosa. E a Ghanaian boy. And as you see a kind of manager. Omo na Jibi Yakubu. And so omo team who is a Ghanaian. We didn't see a kind under 17 under 20 or Ghana ati. It is our project in our countries be no munya resource no. Zaki Bedu so ashase. Oye bi manager. And he deserves that kind of mention. I am sure say or building upon kakana washa say oye no. Now to also with this ebi anam rebi beba ye bebo World Cup qualifier. Said ye Cape Verde mo kona ye di omo home komo no. Na ye ba benya Niger. Onu so betimi akwa kopiem at the world stage ken. Nigeria say one qualifier and World Cup. They shouldn't blame anybody. Ay omo ankasa nepe. E na abanesa.
Nigeria.
Yes. Look at the kind of quality players in Nigeria kita. Mijitu say football no enye strikers nkwane ye de ball. That is for a fact. But at dear Bakwa back then, a boa Barcelona ye Barca under Pep Guardiola was the kind of attack, especially like Messi and Barcelona war. So that time no, Gerard Piqué, Nicolas Puyol, bad, they were very good. And you goalkeeper Verde. But that triangular defense, me nobody dance here. Say you're so strong, sir. Individually, Debbie. But collectively as a unit, na nyama kon kind of mamo. But our line of message in any more hono. So mo consider 4 goals. Line of message nkwa betimi a 5 for any more ma win. Into the attack no. Aya na play key role in team bia performance. Who Victor Semenyo. Quality striker by all standards. Nancy ya sha Adam's performance order in Edima Sevilla. Super striker and so with all this quality. Now for coach I'm not coaching Nigeria and finding qualifying for World Cup. For Eric Shelley. And then the buy. The performance was Mali Cramponet saying. Now we're entrusted with the Nigerian national team Super Eagles. So no name Ramaya Juma. Just because coach Biaba Omunya time on Famano. Problem Kitwabi. I yes solvable Crampano Majinason and Akonoma Pamano. Because in Pennyphone feels or money to me. And Omudi picky coaches and the fire coaches. It's in Nigeria decision to sack Geno Raw and no Koyano. Or no now only Beni, Baba Boy Beni national team coach. And that makes the game very interesting because Benin is in a World Cup now.
And in Nigeria, so much my qualify for Akobo playoff in Libya. This almost Benin 1-0 and now 2-0.
Yes.
Normal say South Africa into Rwanda.
Aye.
And so now Nigeria team playoff. Aye. It's almost 1 and now 2. Normal some other game they say South Africa and Rwanda.
Into Rwanda.
Into
and football be a bit messy. But for South Africa, I see say a day on Rwanda. Maybe Omujinano.
yɛbɛhwɛ na adwumre
So for Nigeria, they can blame you on Kasa Omo.
ɛwo sɛ Ghana for no bebree kora mpɛ sɛ Nigeria for bɛqualify de ntia ɛyɛ bɛno ɛyɛ time bɛno no
Vuro Kekintia.
oh ɛyɛ yɛmfa no nsuo na menim nkɔmmɔ kakra mmra na